Now, on my first glimpse into Sackboy: A Big Adventure, I was understandably disappointed. Why? Because Little Big Planet was a franchise that, yes, had a story mode that placed emphasis on 2D platforming, but the level creator element focused on creativity through a variety of possible game genre. You know, the appeal of those games was that they could be whatever you wanted them to be. Shark survivals, top-down shooters, role-playing levels, Mortal Kombat, I mean the sky was the limit. However, now the focal point is strictly 3D platforming within the absence of the beloved My Moon where your imagination would run wild. Despite the changes made in this entry, I tried going in with an open mind because it was my first next-gen experience. It was bound to be memorable, right? Look, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I'm not really sure how to phrase this, but this game completely exceeded my expectations. I did not expect that I'd be having so much fun with it despite abandoning what made the previous entry so charming. But this game was a heartwarming experience for me, and I'm gonna tell you why. Mere seconds after I started up the game, I was thrown into an extraordinary universe known as the Imagisphere, specifically a town named Loom on the planet of Craftworld. The Sack folk here were having a jolly good time until Vex, a being born out of all the nightmares in the world, crashed the party. He sends a bunch of Sack folk to another dimension to work on his topsy-turver, a machine that would terrorize Craftworld with nightmares, effectively erasing all the happiness in the world. One of the Sack folk, Sackboy, manages to escape into a rocket ship with Vex's blueprint of the locations he plans to invade to gather materials for his topsy-turver. Saddened by having his friends kidnapped, Sackboy naturally laments to himself. That was until former protector of Craftworld, Scarlet, came along to offer words of encouragement, assuring Sackboy that he is the only one who can make things right again. Sackboy, now aware of his destiny as a knitted knight, sets off to save the planet. One thing I need to mention is that although the story is relatively simplistic, the characters are what contribute to the lovable nature of the cutscenes. Figures such as the kind-hearted mentor Scarlet, who has a knack for light-hearted banter, the goofy explorer Gerald Shuttleguff, who is frequently found twiddling his thumbs in secluded areas, and many others accentuate the comedic aura this game exudes, but the one I grew attached to was most ironically the main protagonist Vex. The nightmarish demon's wordplay varies from hilarious one-liners to clever jokes enriched with double meanings, all of which masterfully complemented by a phenomenal voice actor in Richard E. Grant.
With a very exciting opportunity. You're ready. You're gonna love it. I call it the Topsy-Turver.
Vex appears at various points to create mischief for you while mocking you for your seemingly feeble attempts at working towards stopping him. His character is reminiscent of Kefka from Final Fantasy VI or the Joker from Batman, all of which are maniacal beings that cling to humor as a form of expressing their ideas as they degrade the protagonists. To think that a villain with an aspiration as generic as rule the world would be able to present so much in terms of character expression? Vex is one screwed up dude, but he's one you love to hate. The writing in this game is seriously top notch. I found myself laughing at the dialogue at numerous points throughout the adventure. The well-paced cutscene direction was something I feel this game does really well as it adds to the lighthearted charm of the world building, and diving into the actual platforming gameplay, it only gets better and better. Your quest to return Craftworld to its former glory will involve traveling across a plethora of unique worlds. This time around you have the aid of a life-threatening weapon at your disposal, the patented bitch slap. In previous titles, the attack was utilized to strike fear into unsuspecting comrades, but for this occasion, you'll single-handedly assert your dominance over the world. Regular slaps, aerial slaps, spin slaps. Combine the tools in your arsenal to conquer the world. You get it, you get the point. Alongside the straightforward combat, you've got the additions of swell movement options in a flutter jump similar to a certain green dinosaur we know, and rolling. What makes the overall control scheme fun to dabble in is that your buttons can cancel out into each other, contributing to maneuverability that feels fluidly smooth. Understanding the concepts behind your kit is necessary in order to complete the Knitted Knight trials, a series of extra levels that aim to test your dexterity in the arts. Difficulty varies from trial to trial, however completing all 15 paves the way for the ultimate challenge. And it's no joke, I mean that shit took me like 2 straight hours of failures into one final successful attempt. The general level design in this game obviously caters towards platforming, however interaction with your environment is a necessity if you want to reap the material benefits. There are a plethora of collectibles scattered throughout like Dreamer Orbs that are required to unlock mandatory levels on the overworld map, collectibles that are traded to purchase new outfits, more on that later, pieces to costumes for you to equip, these Rubik's Cube thingies that open up new Knitted Knight trials, and finally score bubbles that contribute to your overall score at the end. The amount of points in total dictates what prizes you'll earn at the end of the level. The only thing that irked me about this was that during a lot of levels there are points of no return, so if you miss a collectible you have to restart the entire level to scoop it up again. If you need an enemy or a box to bolster yourself up to a higher surface but you accidentally destroyed it, too bad, re-entering the room won't make them appear again, so you gotta reset the whole thing. The lack of respawning pieces was an aspect that slightly annoyed me, but it wasn't extremely bad, especially when you consider most other positive elements of the game. Level objectives vary from getting from point A to point B, navigating across a multitude of rooms to collect keys that open up a central door, experimentation with tilt controls, and utilizing nifty gadgets like grappling hooks amongst a few others I'll refrain from spoiling. The unbending curiosity of wondering what new idea a level would present, which included digging around for secrets in abundance, drove my motivation to explore every nook and cranny of the worlds. When a game is so absorbing in the sense that it offers uniquely enjoyable mechanics and constantly introduces new level ideas to spice things up, it makes me want to explore it more because so much effort was clearly dumped into it. And it was even more enjoyable acing every single player level via speedrunning with this game's aforementioned beautiful movement options, a feat that requires completing a given level without dying at all. The bosses are fairly easy because you're granted 5 lives to take them out, but they're still interesting because they dance with new mechanics. Whether it was throwing bombs, using some of the later gadgets, or capitalizing on the patented bitch slap at your disposal to invoke fear in any and everything that breeds, boss fights were generally entertaining. And although some of the confrontations with Vex were recycled, which is a bit of a disappointment, I still had fun beating up him and his minions while never losing a life. To my utmost surprise, there were some song-based levels that featured assets such as enemies and background elements harmoniously moving along to the beat of the music. As you hop from one phase of the level to the next, the music dynamically changes and that maybe the instrumentation will pick up or the vocals will start kicking in. I absolutely love these parts of the game because there is so much vigor conveyed by the assets of the world dancing around. Each of these levels give off celebratory vibes that boost the overall amount of enjoyment you get when you run through. Furthermore, the soundtrack, a compilation of original compositions alongside songs created by existing artists, is nothing short of fantastic. I mean, there are so many tracks present here that I've committed to playlists as the tone embodies the perfect amount of adventurous energy you'd expect from a journey through Craftworld. The music levels were one of many portions of this game that completely blew me away, segments I could only describe as speechless moments where all I could manage was a giddy smile as I thought to myself, this game is freaking sick. The only issues I came across, however, were the co-op levels, which I couldn't get into because multiple players are mandatory for it. At the time of recording, there is no online multiplayer yet, although there is an update scheduled for the end of 2020. The only other option for me is to locally play, which is impossible because I'm not willing to dump 70 on another controller at this point in time. You know, you can't have network availability as a marketing point, but then not have it available by the launch of your product. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer that that game dropped without that form of online support, but you can bet your bottom dollar that I'll be finally 100%ing this game when it comes. But wait, co-op means I have to rely on people to cooperate with me? I know how well that works, or doesn't work, given my painful, mind-numbing experiences on Rayman Origins with my cousins and online Mario Maker 2. Anyway, I did come across a few bugs. On 2 occasions, the game spontaneously crashed on me, however, I'm not sure if that's rooted in the PS5's current state or a quandary within the game in itself. On a few levels, the audio for the sound effects, namely the jingles when you collect items, just randomly cut out and I'd have to restart the game for those sound effects to come back. Despite a few of these bugs and the lack of online co-op, I still think that the general level design is a sweet blend of great platforming as you interact with the world to uncover its secrets, and with 80 plus levels of amazingness, there's much pleasure to be had with this game. Another thing I really loved was the diversity in clothing. Hidden costume pieces as well as collectibles accrued during levels are essential in getting new outfits from Zoom Zoom, the genie dude who runs the shop, and to be quite frank, the wardrobe feature is a welcome addition that grants extra bits of flair to your character's experience. Although you don't have as much freedom with decorating yourself like you could in the LBP games, the options available to you here are still insane. I mean, I think I might have cycled between around 10 or more outfits in my 35-hour playthrough as I was just that invested in trying out different fits. Subsequently, there are these emotes and gestures you can equip, which I found pretty cool. In no timeline would I have expected Sumo Digital to program Sackboy dabbing in a licensed product. This is just absurdly funny to me. If it wasn't obvious enough, the cosmetic flexibility in this game is crazy good, and if you do choose to invest in this game, please invest in your attire. It's kind of weird how Zoom Zoom sets up these opportunities for you to get collectibles in the overworld because, like, I'm the consumer, dude. That's like me giving someone $5 only for them to use that $5 to buy one of my products. You have the power to single-handedly break the economy via spawning money, and yet you run a clothing store? Come on, man. Amongst the plethora of highs, I think another awesome aspect about this game would have to be the visuals. Every location in this game is simply a spectacle to behold, as the textures on everything look amazing with equally captivating visuals that sit well upon the eyes. I was awestruck by how clean everything looked, and I feel having a world as colorful as this gives off the sense that this universe is a magical one that you as the player are being immersed in. Being surrounded by absurdly designed enemies, lively backgrounds, goofy obstacles, and much more contributes to the overall creative charm of the game. A lot of what you see in this game is crazy in a positive sense because it's that unpredictability in Craftworld that keeps you wondering what will pop up next. The reason why I withheld showing off so much of the later content was because the importance of discovery is something I feel this game is centralized around. Jumping across each world felt fulfilling because something about the individual pieces of each level, whether it be the intricate details packed into something seemingly inconsequential like the background or the satisfaction of digging around until I found an item cleverly tucked away, managed to invoke happiness in me. Whenever I was surprised by the makings of one level, I was always blindsided by countless more ounces of creativity. And I think that's the charm of the game, the ultimate significance of the Imagisphere itself. This universe is an amalgamation of dreams, a set of somewhat uncontrollable ideas that we come across in some way, shape, or form. A lot of the time we don't know how our cognitions come to invent these weird scenarios in our head while we're sleeping, but no matter what, we'll always return to that crafted world day after day, and when we wake up, feel some type of solace through having experienced a fascinating segment of imagination. If I were to describe Sackboy, A Big Adventure, in one word, it'd be phenomenal. Craftworld is filled with many hilariously written, lovable characters, the platforming is a thrill given the action almanac that works well with the fluctuating level design, being able to equip your sack folk with all types of clothing is sick, and the visuals ooze with creative charm at all corners of the universe. The main gripes I had were the points of no return during levels, which made collecting everything a bit on the annoying side, and the lack of online support, which due to my circumstances restricts me from completing everything. But even still, never did I think that a title that deviates so heavily from the core creation formula of the franchise I held so dear to my heart would be this enjoyable. Quite frankly, I'd be okay with them fleshing out this approach to the games. Despite the emphasis on platforming in a strictly 3D plane over the liberation you had with the level makers before, the game still has that LBP charm I know and love. The intricacies of Craftworld are invigorating, there are lots of joys to be had as you maneuver across realms, and most importantly, it's a fun time. Thank you for watching and have a great day. See ya!